Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to Rise of the Tomb Raider. So we're still in this tutorial mode, 30 minutes in. Here's our first instance of breaking down a wall with our climbing
secret
axe,
entrance.
which we'll do a lot of that. Sadly, later on there's a mining mini game that we run into that looks very similar to that. Here's a side twist of entering that.
It's amazing.
That
If only
narrow
Dad could have
passage.
seen this.
While the Tomb Raider reboot game was rather good, it did have some weird eccentricities, and one of the things was you would enter every cave sideways so that they could just get the camera close up on the bust. Here it tries to move it closer to the back of her shoulders and it puts the camera in a different place, for which I think is an improvement, definitely. The game seems to really like to get some odd camera angles, or it did in the previous game, and also show many instances where you die. Here it's more balanced. There will be a few places where you will be shown an animation if you mess up and die, but there is also a lot of instances where if I was to say fall
They're
down,
already here.
it would just
Got to
fade
get
to the
inside.
left and kill me and make me start over again. So we're in Syria. This is the Tomb of the Prophet. That is Trinity in the helicopter, which is the evil organization we're fighting. This isn't really puzzles or anything that we do. It's really just kind of point A to point B to point C. Lara has fallen down again, and so she's slightly injured. Now, very late in the game, like probably an hour and a half from later, they tell you that you can hit right bump to heal yourself. You don't have the ingredients that are necessary to do it, but you can see that. Several of the other elements you can't even bring up, but that one you can. So I'm trying to have an accelerated experience here, trying to just rush through this. Honestly, even for your first playthrough, you should rush through this section.
The Order of Trinity pursued the Prophet and his people relentlessly until finally confronting them in their hidden oasis.
We will eventually find other kinds of audio dialogue, but it's all pre-recorded, so it's rather nice. This is interesting. You see these scorpions, we're gonna see a little bit more of them in a second here.
A way through.
But they don't play any part in the game after this, as far as I've seen. At least in the next 13% of gameplay. So they were animated for this section, again. A lot of things were animated just for this demo, and then they're forgotten about. This is very Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Come on.
A little bit of a spook. And then there was a scorpion that just crawled through a rock. Let's see. I am controlling things, but it's just kind of forward is all I can do. I can't even walk backwards or left and right. So there's a lot of dead scholars. And we get to this point, and then she lies down, keeps the door open, which that doesn't happen either for the rest of the game. Clearly, this was a very early
soldiers
section,
against religious pilgrims.
and
The Order of Trinity.
doesn't. It just doesn't get used in later parts of the game. Which is fine, because then the later parts of the game start to focus more on allowing you to have consistent gameplay mechanics. So, there's a couple of rats running around, and it wouldn't normally make sense to spend your time to shoot the rats, but in this instance it actually does, because it will give you a few bits of experience that puts you ahead of the curve. So if those rats come back out, and because I have infinite bullets in this section, I will try and shoot them.
My son, the Order of Trinity has received word that the Prophet's followers are building a great tomb at an oasis outside Siberia. But more upsetting, while we thought they were building the tomb for their Prophet, Trinity now believes he still lives. We have learned he is preaching his heresy among the local citizens, drawing more to him daily with his tales of how he conquered death. He is a liar and a heretic, claiming miracles that come only from the divine. You swore he was dead. Have you failed us?
Now, it's a little interesting that none of the dialogue I've seen has ever taken more than one screen. Which is fine, because it still takes a decent amount of time for them to read out loud the dialogue. So it doesn't need to be entire books, something akin to what the books you might see in Skyrim or Witcher 3. I guess those rats aren't coming back.
The Prophet, slain by the Order of Trinity.
Now, my Greek proficiency is going up with every one of these, and my experience is going up, so you don't want to miss any of this. This game is... this part particularly gets a little weird. How linear it is.
Damn it. That was too close.
And I guess I didn't actually get hit there, but I was very close. These booby traps, by the way, also not in the game. Which just goes to show you that there's about 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours of gameplay where these elements might come back later on, but they are not seen. Like, there's no booby traps.
They're blasting their way in.
That can affect you for the first 14% of the game. After this. Now they're very big on the idea of water puzzles and manipulating the water. Again, I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but this is an element that just doesn't play a part. Now you have to tap X here, you can't just hit it.
Let's hope this works.
The screen goes away. You can't swim down there, through there. And there's no need to worry about missing anything. She's got this wet hair animation that she does when she gets out of the water. She'll always wring out her ponytail. And that gave me 100 XP for just solving that area. I suppose the whole game could have just been small sections like this, but it fortunately does become, eventually, it starts to become a little bit more open world. Time slows down. The ability to slow down time maybe is still to unlock eventually, but it's not anything to use. The swim faster here that might is interesting because they come back and they have to reteach you how to swim faster in about an hour because you do so little of it. It's kind of funny that they spent the effort to animate her spitting up water. And there's fog.
Stunning. We made it, Dad.
So let's take a moment to show how far we've been. We started here and we went all this way. And we've gotten 5 of the 5 murals and 1 of the 3 coin caches and 1 of the 2 relics and 1 of the 4 relics documents. And then there's a challenge. And the challenge is to shoot 7 incense burners. And they are here. Right here. But they're not all the incense burners, so you can't hit that one. That's another one. And this is definitely a more complicated water puzzle than what we've been doing up to this point. But it's still mostly just a combination of different several puzzles in one area. Nice dive animation. I don't think I noticed that last time. And the game has been very nice about not really having anything underwater or anything in any way that is hidden.
Got to find a way to get up higher. Maybe I can raise the water.
And the game is being very generous to tell you what to do in case you're confused. It's just do the same thing you just did. Remember, we're in the middle of Syria, at the top of a mountain. Where these waters are coming from, I have no idea. That seems like a lot of secret underground springs for the area. So now it wants us to come in this direction for what could have been a pretty missable thing. They want you to climb up this whole element. And climb over here. And while I'm over here, the survival instinct by default doesn't show you what the collectibles and things are for challenges. It shows you other collectibles. I'm gonna have to be a little careful to get all these incense burners and all the caches. And this tells you right now that the height won't be any higher for the water. And the game is kind of oddly making it seem like there's a timer and a rush to finish everything here because Trinity is chasing after you. But it actually isn't the case.
Another religious symbol. But this one is simple and handmade. The prophet must have drawn followers from every walk of life.
Yeah, it kind of has to be some Christian prophet of some sort. I mean, you wouldn't have a crown of thorns and a wooden cross if it didn't have something to do with that. if you hit right stick, you'll zoom in. The game doesn't tell you that until later. In fact, the game forgets to tell you, or doesn't tell you a lot of things until later. Some more climbing. And some jumping. And then I don't think I want to go in here yet. I think what I want to do, we've got 3 more of those. Let's jump this way, and this is a map. So now that we have the Archivist map, we know where documents are and our collectibles are. I think probably are safe. Yeah, this is a pretty spike trap in the middle of the ground.
Damn, they're almost inside.
My lord, what you say is impossible. I myself drove a spear into the prophet's heart. I saw him die. Doubtless, his people have propped another man up in the slain prophet's robe to continue his lies. They are broken, discredited, and exiled. We will head south and put the rest of his people to the sword. But the prophet is dead. This, I swear.
Now, we don't need the game to pause like that. I wish instead it would simply play the audio and then let me walk around and work and look for the next collectible item. It's apparently there's another document. Beacon down. I don't think the beacon's still, even if you do place one, it only shows up when you have the survival instinct. One would think that should just be enabled by default. That's one more incense burner down. Gotta be a little careful. Yeah. There's a lot of dead bodies in these alcoves. Elements that were animated, never used again. And unless you're in a cutscene, it seems like Lara Croft dies pretty quickly from running out of oxygen. She can't hold her breath and swim underwater much at all. There's one more incense burner somewhere. And there's a document. And see, this challenge here doesn't really imply anything other than that's where the challenge started. So if I pick this up,
My lord,
what if
I
hit
ride at the head of a
exit?
small...
No, see, that doesn't work.
My lord, I ride at the head of a small army of the faithful, armed and ready. And I have good news.
So
We
you
have
can hit
located the
Y to
tomb of the
pause
prophet.
it
We were attacked by madmen
can't
upon the road
leave
wearing the prophet's livery,
and just let the audio
but they were
play.
easily bested. We allowed one to flee and followed him back to the oasis. Whether the prophet escaped death, or whether another now wears his mantle, it does not matter. All will perish inside, and it will become a tomb at last.
So now there's probably a very good reason why it makes you pause and listen to the audio, and that's because you honestly end up... There's the last one. Challenge complete. You run into so many in-game cutscenes that it's kind of unlikely that you would be able to not cut yourself off. There's a lot of areas here where it looks like you'd be able to jump, and a lot of areas where it looks like you should be able to reach. But I think I have to actually go all the way around. There we go. Didn't think that was on the map, actually. There's now one more document, and that's the only thing in this area. And so you'd be very hard pressed to not get 100% in this section. But later on, you get to points where you need skills and abilities and items that you just don't have. And you will definitely have to fast travel and go back to areas later on. Your goal is to get to that point, but you have to get there first. That would have had me fall, which would have been annoying. And here's a weird thing. Like, I have infinite boots, so I can shoot this as much as I want. But it just won't let you disable that. And this is a booby trap, but you actually want to activate it because you get the 10 XP to do it. Again, those booby traps don't play any part for the next 14% of the game. I guess I need to find a better way of saying that and say, instead perhaps say that it doesn't play a part for the next several hours.
Got to raise the water.
So we're gonna raise the water, and we're gonna get higher and higher. In a weird way, because you get up here, and then it wants you to get up here. And go ahead and shoot that, because there's nothing special there. Here's our last document. You spend way too much time,
my lord,
out of the gameplay.
The last remnant of the Prophet's followers have barricaded themselves inside his tomb. We have made camp at the entrance, and we are preparing to break through their barricades. I saw the man claiming to be the Prophet before they sealed the gates, and I admit, he bears a striking resemblance. But it could not be. No matter. They will all be dead before sunrise. The Order of Trinity will see that his heresy ends here.
The concept of the Holy Trinity, which I assume the Order of the Trinity is named after, didn't come about until later in Christianity. So, the idea that there would be an Order of the Trinity while Jesus is walking around the earth doesn't make a lot of sense. Now when I stepped on that raised the water, which you would think is a good thing, except for the water goes back down. And there's no real explanation of why it goes back down, but it does. I want to be very careful on the coins, because some of these coins don't seem to be marked on the map. So we're doing this again. And the water doesn't even flow over the edge. This game actually gets rather frustrating in the fact that it takes away control from you a lot, like way more than it should. So that jumps the water, that knocks you off the water, and you had to have seen this area, which isn't marked by your survival instinct. You know that you're supposed to climb up here, to know you were supposed to get up to this.
If I could get out onto that bar.
Like, now that you're standing here, it's telling you to go there, but if you didn't know to get there in the first place. And we've collected everything, and so if there was a coin somewhere on the map that, I mean, we, I suppose, could zoom in, but seems like some coins are labeled as coin caches while other coins are not. Another 100 XP for solving a very simplistic puzzle. I guess technically this is the first tomb, but once you're out of this tutorial section, you see your first optional tomb, and the game just wants you to skip over it if you're not interested. And it's the first optional tomb as a puzzle is no more difficult than this is, which is really simple. And we just saw an out-of-game cutscene transition for a second into an in-game cut, back into the game. The game is just constantly taking control away from you.
Found you.
Yeah, it's hopefully eventually opens up. But you should definitely rush the first part. Just don't worry about it at all.
It's empty.
The tomb is empty.
No! No! What did I miss?
It's uncertain whether she was looking for a body or an artifact. Or what she's actually even looking for. The game didn't ever explain that. So we see the main bad guy flanked by several...
Set the charges!
Several other people that their face models seem to get reused a lot. And it seems like twins or clones. His main bodyguards have complete face masks over them,
tomb.
so that they don't have to animate.
After all this time.
And the artifact?
Inside. God willing.
So the subtitle says he is a soldier, but he
Open
is,
it. Carefully.
What was his
Could
name?
be extremely
I've already
dangerous.
forgotten. Constantine with a K. That's his name, yeah. And he has hands through holes in his hands.
Who the hell are you?
Kind of makes it seem like maybe he was the prophet.
You're a smart woman.
And the prophet
I
took over
suspect
Trinity.
you already know.
Trinity.
Where is the artifact?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't play games with me. You led us to this place.
Look, it was empty when I got here. There was no body and definitely no artifact.
He's got scars on his face, but I'm not sure what they're for. They really wanted to have elements of heavily armored, gun-toting mercenaries in this game, so that they could have the multiplayer element of this game and turn it into a first-person shooter. So, if I can get a headshot in both instances, that would be nice. I'd give it a little bit more speed. The difference between killing somebody and not killing somebody is only a little. This looks a lot like the Lara Croft, one of the old Lara Croft movies. But now they're already to the point where they're ruthlessly using a new Lara Croft actress instead of Angelina Jolie, who I believe was the actress. That's part of the reason why I'm playing this game, to tie it in with the new movie. But I doubt this game will have anything to do with it. This is very Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
What's this?
A Christian cross. One of thousands you would have seen as an archaeologist, if not millions. And yet, she's going to say in a second that that cross is special somehow. So she does have a Croft Manor. She just wasn't using it before in the apartment. And apparently it's been abandoned and has no power. Oh, it does have power.
Jonah!
Why would you work on the floor when there's
so
a
much I need
desk
to tell
right
you,
behind you?
Did you find the Prophet's tomb?
Yes, but I was followed.
What? By who?
So here's
They call
Jonah, who we
themselves
saw
Trinity.
in the
They tried
first
to kill me.
tutorial section.
What the hell is going on here? You're starting to scare me.
The tomb was empty, but I
So
think they were looking for the divine source.
Are working our
The
way
artifact
back
your
from
father
the
was after?
flashback.
There's more. I found this symbol in the tomb. I knew I'd seen it before. It was driving me insane.
just a cross.
That's when it hit me.
Cross
I
with
saw
a
it
circle.
here in one of Dad's books.
Maybe it's slightly
Listen to
different,
this.
but not that unique.
The Lost City of Kitezh, said to have disappeared in Siberia sometime in the 12th century. Legend says that on the eve of the invasion by the Mongol horde, it sunk beneath a lake.
What does this have to do with the Prophet's artifact?
The same symbol.
Lara!
If the divine source is hidden in the ruins of Kitezh, waiting to be found, then I have to go.
To Siberia? Are you kidding me?
Just think, if this thing could really unlock the secret of immortality, it would change everything. Sickness, suffering, death, gone.
Are you listening to yourself?
Jonah,
It's not actually a
we've been
good
through
thing.
so much together.
if
You know there's
you
more out there.
Got rid of
This
sickness
could
and
be
death.
real.
That
I
would
don't care
just
if it's
cause
real.
Massive
I've lost too many friends.
overpopulation.
I don't want to lose you too.
Dad never made the connection to Kitezh. He gave up everything for this.
Including you. Stop blaming yourself for what happened. He made his own bed.
See, there's a lot of backstory that's getting
I
referenced,
can't give
but
up on
not
him.
explaining.
Not now. It's all I have.
No, it isn't! If you stayed still for 5 minutes, maybe you'd see that.
And we can see this lore is a lot more driven and focused, where the first generation of Tomb Raider games felt more like she just had a job as a Tomb Raider, and she was doing it for no real personal stakes. And you could imagine that there'd be like quick time events in this cutscene, but no, none of that. It's just the game is taking control and it's showing me a movie. Now, for a Square Enix game like Final Fantasy,
Lara!
seeing a lot of cutscenes
Holy
like
shit!
this is balanced, probably not greatly, but it's still balanced with a lot of grinding and gameplay.
Drop the book.
In this instance, it's not balanced with gameplay, so you just go cutscene to cutscene to cutscene.
You can't stop us!
With very little. She should have just shot him. Shot
Shit,
him in
Lara.
the stomach, shot him in the
What are we gonna do?
leg, shot him in the head even.
I led them to it, Jonah. If the divine source is real, we've got to find it first.
So Trinity didn't know
Siberia it is, then.
where it was either. So this is all Lara Croft's fault. And so another like 45 minutes of gameplay just to get back to where the first part happened. And she's grabbing her side right where she was pierced in the first game. So I wonder if the idea will be that she's just always going to be in pain on that side
Jonah?
going forward for the rest of the game series.
Jonah.
She's in heavy
you can hear me.
winter gear, so no more tank top
Go
for
back.
the rest of the game.
Please don't try to find me.
Unless I go to another area, which I doubt will happen.
I need to do this alone.
So she tells him to go back, and she's back to just playing the game by herself.
Got to find shelter.
And so let's take a moment. Here was Syria, 100% complete, and here is Siberia. Honestly, there's not a reason that this whole game couldn't have taken place in Syria, other than the fact that maybe you didn't want to open up the possibility that at some point you'd be shooting Syrians, maybe to Square Enix Japan, which is a Japanese company. It's better to shoot potentially Siberians than Syrians. I don't know. I guess there is a lot of conflict in Syria, so there might be a lot of issues there, but it doesn't seem like the map is going anywhere else. In fact, it pretty much implies to me that this is all of the game. Now, when you zoom in, it's pretty big. Like, this was the first tutorial section. We're going to enter a somewhat open section here, and it's going to take us a while to actually get out of this open section. You still should rush up to this point. In fact, you should still rush up through the next point and to the third point. Where we are now, we've got some challenges and documents, and we'll try to get all of those, but we won't get them all. So I'm not going to worry too much about it. We haven't unlocked the ability to collect anything besides coins. 26 coins may not have been the full amount in the tutorial, but I don't think it's going to matter. We'll probably loot some coins otherwise. And she's stuck in the deep snow right now, freezing. And she needs to find shelter. And once we do find shelter, that's when we can start upgrading, and there is a DLC element of different costumes that give you XP bonuses. So I'll change into that outfit just so we can make sure we do everything possible to get all of the skill points unlocked. We are now 7% done with the game. That seems a little crazy, because we've just been through 2 tutorial sections. But as far as the story is concerned, 7% of the story is done. Now, there is the Baba Yaga DLC. There may be some other DLC that adds some more gameplay. But it mostly feels like this game is going to just try to get you to play it and get the main story single player done, and then try to push you into the multiplayer. And almost certainly nobody is playing the multiplayer now. It's been at least a year, if not 2 years, since this game came out, and barely anybody was playing it even when it first came out. Anyways, that's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.